What's going on, everyone? Hello and welcome. I'm your host, William Lou. This is the Raptors Reaction Podcast presented by Betway for all your sports betting activities. Hit the QR code that you see here on the screen or follow the link that you will see to the description of the podcast. This is what I'm talking about right here. Raptors win 109-93 against the Orlando Magic. This is a great turnaround. A 37-point turnaround. It would have been a lot cooler to say a 40-point turnaround because it basically was that. Raptors go from being down 32 to 11 to start the game. That's when Darko called his second timeout. He called the first one at 6-0 Orlando after about a minute and a half. Raptors were doing nothing. Then it was 32 to 11 for the Orlando Magic. Looked like it was going to be another one of these landslide losses, especially at home. Those are really unacceptable. And to see the Raptors flip the switch early in the second quarter, and you got to give a lot of credit to their vets. Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, once again, put the league on notice. Okay, all these traveling scouts and execs that come to the Raptor game, to maybe, peep at our players. I mean, you know what? Eyes wide open after a game like this because both of those guys did a really good job of bringing a lot of energy. And then Scottie Barnes woke up sometime in the second quarter and just took over. Him. I thought Davion Mitchell brought a lot of energy. I thought Grady Dick did a really good job being aggressive on offense. He had a really slow first half. I think he had like 1 point in the first half, and then just like really came alive with the ball movement. RJ overcame early foul trouble, and honestly, before you know it, Raptors are starting to play like the Orlando Magic. I mean, the suffocating defense. I mean, Paolo Banchero. It's actually kind of nice that it's a testament to him that he got 26 tonight on 10 of 19 shooting. But don't confuse this as a good offensive game for Paolo Banchero. Not only did he have 5 fouls, this man damn near fouled out. He picked up a technical. He had 5 turnovers. And even the makes that he made were pretty tough. I mean, Raptors really did a great job starting with Scottie Barnes, who did the primary job of guarding Paolo Banchero, and he did a really, really good job making it really difficult on him. The Magic for the second and third quarters could not score at all. The Raptors in the second quarter held the Orlando Magic to 13 points, and then their third quarter, which was probably for me the best played quarter that the Raptors had played all season. Again, this has been 43 games now in the season, so there's been a lot of quarters. But when you look through all those, this one, when the Raptors in the third quarter beat the Magic 40-20 in the third quarter, defensively on point, offensively being able to play in transition, share the ball, knock down the three, which is obviously so key against a team like the Magic, who really do know how to shut down the paint. Cutting against the Orlando zone, playing through the toughness. You rarely, and I've seen a lot of Magic games this year. You rarely see a team out tough the Magic, bring the physicality to them, frustrate them to the point where their star player is getting called for technicals because he's setting moving screens just to get a guy open who probably would have missed for the Orlando Magic because they were really bricks from three tonight. Orlando had come into Toronto a couple weeks ago and they beat the Raptors, but they also had like an incredible shooting night. This is closer to what the Magic are. They're a terrible 3-point shooting team. And you know what? Tonight they shot 9 of 31. That's not even that far from their averages when it comes to their percentages, that being 29% tonight. Raptors did an amazing job in the second and third quarters. And I think defensively, there's so much to be praised as the Raptors, again, turn this from being down 32-11 to start this game to finishing the game with Garrett Temple, Ulrich Shamshay, AJ Lawson, Orlando Robinson, who they just signed on a 10-day. So he's already on the court. And I forget who the last guy was, to be fair. I think it was... Actually, I don't even know who else was on the floor. Maybe Jamison Battle? Yeah, probably Jamison Battle. That's Garrett Temple and 4 guys that they primarily play with the G League this year, right? That is how much of a turnaround this was. And this is really, really impressive. Like, really, really impressive. And again, the Magic, I know they're banged up. But the thing with the Magic, like I said, when the previous games when the Raptors lost to the Magic don't have any excuses. They don't use any excuses, right? Jalen Suggs goes down. Okay, they win. Last game, they won. Remember, Jalen Suggs got hurt, hurt his back, all that kind of stuff. Had to stop the game for a while. That was scary. Whatever, right? Franz Wagner, who at least was getting some warm-ups in before the game, so maybe he's closer. But since he's gone down, they've been able to get results. They don't use that as an excuse. I'm not going to use that as an excuse for the Magic. I've seen the Magic play through games like this. I'm going to give the Raptors full credit because this was a really good effort. And again, the start of the game, fine. That was terrible. I don't know what they were on. RJ picked up like 3 fouls right away. Grady was looking really lost. You know, the Raptors kind of going through the motions, no intensity at all, and the Magic pounced. They knocked down the threes. You know, guys were scoring on them. You know, like and it was from everywhere, and it felt like, okay, are the Magic going to punk you like this again? But that determination by the Raptors tonight, starting with Bruce Brown, but then followed with Kelly Olynyk, then Scottie Barnes throughout the whole game, for me was excellent. You know, RJ and Grady joins the fight in the second half there, and they start doing most of the scoring for the Raptors in the half court. You know, you see Davion Mitchell and Jamal Shed, the on-ball pressure that they put on Orlando's point guards, who tonight obviously they had to start Anthony Black, who is not typically their starting point guard, but obviously they got some injuries, so he's got to start. And you know what? He's got some quicks. You know, he got a couple of buckets in the first quarter when the Raptors' intensity wasn't there. When the game started to get going, though, second, third quarter, when the Raptors are in full gear, fourth quarter, man, this guy was just trying to bring the ball up and just get the hell out of the way, dump the ball to somebody else because the Raptors were really hounding them, right? And that's credit to Davion. That's credit to Jamal Shed. Jamal, by the way, who contributed with 2 threes in the third quarter as well. Love seeing that from Jamal. He's starting to really come around with that three. And yeah, the Raptors obviously didn't have everybody play well. Like, you know, I didn't think that this was a good game for Jacoby Walter, for example, or you know, Jakob Poeltl, who typically is excellent. Jakob ends up fouling out tonight in 19 minutes. He fouls out. It's a minus 26. But Kelly Olynyk came out the bench and he had a plus 39 in 22 minutes. Are the scouts out there watching? Are the scouts worldwide watching what Kelly Olynyk is doing? Because he looked like a guy tonight that was he looked 10 years younger than what he actually is right now. He was jumping for rebounds. He was jumping for blocks. He tied a career high with 4 blocks tonight. And not just like guys jumping into his arms and, you know, terrible shots and he, you know, gets a deflection along the way. Like, you know, not one of those. Not because of bad offense, because he was jumping and meeting guys at the rim. And to see that from Kelly, to see the playmaking, I mean, the fact that he was the ball handler in the pick and roll and then Bruce Brown coming to screen for him, that worked like 3 or 4 times, including a beautiful play where Bruce came to screen for Kelly. You know, the Magic don't want to give up that switch because they don't want to guard switching on Kelly. And then Kelly throwing a wraparound pass to Bruce, rolling to the basket, who then jumps back into Paolo Banchero, picks up another foul on their star player, and finishes an and one at the basket. Beautiful stuff like that, all in the third quarter. And again, it's just great to see the Raptors play at this level. It really is. And I know that, like, you know what? You do not want to pick up wins right now. You know, the Raptors are already halfway through a really, really tough season where the tank looks like a very big possibility here. The draft obviously looks really good. Everyone's already talked themselves into Cooper Flagg. They're going to talk themselves into Ace Bailey. They're going to talk themselves into Dylan Harper and potentially even more at the top of this draft. So everyone's going to want to think about that. But moment to moment and year to year, it's still going to be primarily these guys. And that's why it's important for me. You know what? It's great that Kelly played well. It's great that Bruce played well. I'm going to give them full credit. Those guys really got it going for the Raps. But what's really important is that Scottie Barnes comes into a matchup like this against Paolo Banchero. And look, obviously Paolo's a better scorer in terms of like the one-on-one game, and he's more aggressive, and quite frankly, he's got more moves. Credit to Paolo, okay? But Scottie also has a lot of talent to throw back at him. And I want to see when these matchups come up, I want to see them give it their all. I want to see Scottie give it his all. And tonight, he was great. And I know he was only 17 points, just like when the Raptors beat the Celtics. He only had like 18 or something like that. Don't look at that, man. To watch the game, he was all over Paolo. He was switching his activity. He was deflecting passes. That's not even in the box score, but the number of passes he deflected to sort of disrupt and make the Magic have to reset and regenerate their offense. And by the way, they don't run a very creative offense, so it's not like they got that much else going in the tank. The times where he picked apart Orlando's coverage, third quarter, the Magic are like, okay, we're actually in trouble here. We had the lead coming in after the first quarter. Maybe we eased in a little bit. Maybe we relaxed. Maybe we settled. Okay, maybe we got to like adjust. So we're going to play some zone against the Raptors. Big mistake. Raptors' number one thing that they love to do is move the ball. And so if you're playing zone against the Raptors, you are inviting the Raptors to get the ball into the high post where they really, really love to facilitate from that elbows extended area. And Scottie in the middle of that zone, picking the Magic apart, reversing the ball to Davion Mitchell for 3, then finding Grady backdoor for a layup. You know, I think the Magic maybe ran zone for like 5-6 possessions, and not consecutively. Like, you know, they would shift back to it. Like after a timeout, they would surprise them with the zone. Every single time the Magic played zone against the Raptors picked them apart and got a wide open 3 or a layup or a dunk. It was really, really beautiful to see. And seeing Scottie make those reads, instantly pick that apart in live action. Because again, we're not talking about, okay, you got a steady diet of zone and after timeout, you know they're going to play zone and you drop a zone play and all that kind of stuff. No, no, no. Thinking it in real time, realizing where he's got to be, how he's got to set up his teammates. Really, really smart stuff. Him and Kelly, the two of those guys, and of course, Grady being the great beneficiary of this because he's the guy who is getting open for three. He's the guy who's cutting. He's the guy who threw down a like the best dunk of his career, like a poster dunk, a legitimate poster dunk for Grady Dick. I couldn't believe what I was seeing from our boys tonight in the third quarter, but seeing them get picked apart. And then again, I know Paolo still had 26 on a 10 of 19 shooting, so it doesn't look that bad. But I'm telling you, in the moments where Scottie was on him, right, where there wasn't a switch or anything like that, he did a great job frustrating Paolo. He did a really, really good job of sort of like containing him, making it difficult, making him get off the ball, making him use his energy. When you look at the two of those guys in terms of who played better, okay, Paolo has 9 more points, but guess what? Scottie has what 6 more assists than Paolo. He beat him 2-0 in steals as well. Scottie had less turnovers, 5 versus 2. Like I'll take all of that what that Scottie did versus Paolo. I think he actually outdueled what Paolo did tonight, or at least played him to an even. And Paolo's gonna be walking into an all-star position. It feels like this year, and you know what? He's deserving because he's that good of a team player, and of course the Magic have been a winning team. Although they are only 23 and 22 now after this game, so it's not like the record is like far and away in that impressive. They've been hitting, obviously a slower slide here, but still, that's really impressive. And that's what, for me, like seeing Scottie take the leadership in this game, seeing him push on the break. He was playing so hard that at the end of the second quarter, there were 2 minutes left. Both him and Bruce Brown, who I thought were the best two players for the Raptors in the first half, they both signaled to the bench and was like, yo, I need a quick breather. And Darko, to his credit, the Raptors, somebody drew a foul, so there's a chance to substitute. They took Scottie out. They took Bruce out. They didn't put Bruce back in for the last 2 minutes, but they took Scottie out for a minute, then put him back in for the last minute. And then seeing Scottie re-energize one-on-one against Paolo. 5 seconds left. The Raptors don't have much going on. He sort of does a turnaround fadeaway, knocks down the jumper, and one with the foul call. How's that for shot generation? The fact that Scottie has now turned this mid-range shot into a go-to move. The fact that the teams around the league, when they come to Toronto, obviously they're going to circle Scottie, and that's going to be the number one thing because that's the best player on the Toronto Raptors. They're going to circle and figure out how they're going to guard him. It's already in the scouting report. Like it's on the whiteboards that Scottie Barnes is going to take 2 dribbles and he's going to turn over his shoulder and go for the fadeaway. That is already on those whiteboards, and so teams are reacting to it. And so when I see tonight that Scottie drew 2 fouls on turnaround jumper, once that he wasn't able to make the and one, the other time he was able to make the and one, that's really good to me. And I think that that's when you start to build the efficiency on the shot. But more than anything else, that's the respect that you get, because you don't get that respect if teams don't have to really go all out to try to stop that move. It's really encouraging to see that. And of course, the facilitation, I already talked about it. That was good. RJ had a really tough first half, had 3 fouls. Credit to Darko, actually, because I think the third foul he picked up like maybe 2-3 minutes into the second quarter. So there's still a lot of the first half left. And the Raps obviously weren't that hot offensively to start. He stuck with RJ. Now, he obviously hit him on a guy like Trevelin Queen, who is not typically a threat, and he wasn't really a threat tonight. But RJ did a better job of not putting himself in foul trouble. Defensively, I thought RJ was really, really at fault for a lot of the bad start. But as the game went on, he got better and better defensively. It was more and more spots. I thought he did a good job of being physical in the moments that he could. Feels like his arms, the wingspan was just a little short on some of these contests, but still, I don't mind of him staying down and not getting blown by. And then his offense started coming in, man. The transition opportunities, the fact that he was able to knock down the threes, him as a trailer for a 3, that was huge as the Raptors made a comeback in that third quarter to finally make that push, to take the lead. A lot of that was RJ. A lot of that was him driving to the basket, drawing fouls, him getting into the paint, kicking it out. He did a really good job in a super efficient night. I mean, RJ had 19 points tonight to lead the Raptors in scoring. He only took 9 shots. He only made 6 shots. 19 points on 6 made field goals for RJ. That tells you that he knocked down some threes, which he did too, and he also went to the foul line. 5 of 7, that's the most for the Raptors. Really good job of playing as the finisher in the offense. And of course, slow start, and some of that's on him for sure, especially with the foul trouble. You can't take yourself out of the game based on how important he is. But in the second half, he came on strong. He started playing, and he started grooving. I thought Grady Dick, damn, man. Grady, 17 points. on 6 of 9 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, 3 of 6 from the foul line, which is really strange. Grady should be a guy who's around 90% from the foul line, so he'll be disappointed that he only went 3 of 6 from the foul line because this should have been a 20-point game for Grady. But seeing him being aggressive in that third quarter, getting to the spots in the corners, drawing fouls, being clever with those, the cutting, the movement off the ball, did a really good job. And him and Kelly, which is a combination we haven't seen much this year because Kelly's been out for a lot of the year. The last year, Grady and Kelly used to play really beautiful basketball together off the second unit. Now, of course, the Raptors obviously didn't play beautiful basketball in general last season, so it didn't really matter, or a lot of people tuned out for that. I can't blame them. But Kelly and Grady had the chemistry last year, and small things that are super intuitive. Like the Raptors were, facing a zone against Orlando, and Kelly just instinctively set a pin screen for Grady off the ball just to get him a little bit of space, knowing that the pass was going to come from the point, and just getting Grady that little bit of extra space with the screen away from the ball to get Grady that chance to shoot the corner three, and he knocks it down. Small stuff like that for Kelly is not going to end up in a highlight reel. It's not going to end up in a box score, but a scout that's watching from other teams, that, anybody who's watching the game closely will see a value of sort of a play like that and see what Kelly was able to do. And of course, Kelly in general, man. Kelly and Bruce, the last couple of games, have really come on strong. And I know we've been sort of joking about it. We're like, okay, let's let the world know that Kelly Olynyk and Bruce Brown are doing well. But I think it's pretty important. Number one, we know that these players at this time of year, they're getting shopped, they're getting showcased, they're getting at least eyeballs from other teams looking at sort of what these players are doing. So number one, they're in demand, which is always a good sign. Now that you have that demand, now that you have that attention, what are they actually doing with that? And I think a couple things are really showing out here. Number one, Bruce Brown is showing that after the knee surgery, he's still able to move really well. Because you looked at it tonight, he was the guy who got the Raptors going. I mean, he picked up an early tech for the Raptors. This is like when the Raptors only had like 11 points and they were down like 20 points. He picked up a tech, but he started getting the Raptors going. And I'm not even kidding when I say this, like, because I wrote down the plays where Bruce Brown, and again, he came in 28 to 11, smokes a layup, and he gets a tech because there was a no call and he argued it, whatever, right? After that, he did a really good job of playing really good on-ball defense. He got a driving layup. He got a steal on the ball, hit it ahead to Chris Boucher for a layup. He hit a corner three off a really nice pass from Scottie Barnes to end the first quarter. Really nice pass by Scottie to throw cross-court pass into the opposite corner from like half court, basically, because they were up against the shot clock there. Then he ran a pick and pop with Kelly Olynyk, got Kelly open for three, knocked it down, and then he knocked down another corner three as well. All that really got the Raptors going. And I thought Bruce Brown did a really good job of just playing his role. And then, of course, him and Kelly playing the two-man game. He wasn't as prominent offensively, but you don't need Bruce Brown to be prominent offensively. You need him to be a really, really clever player, to come in the game, give you a change of pace, especially off the bench, give you something different. And that's exactly what happened. Because the starters, obviously, tonight had a terrible start. Of course, they made up for it later on, but somebody still need to get the ball rolling, and Bruce did that. And then Kelly, look, Kelly has been limited physically, whether that's because of the age, whether that's because of the fact that he had a back injury at the start of the year. He said he just woke up and his back hurt, and that knocked him out for months. That's obviously scary stuff. And if you're a team trying to trade for him, especially with another year on his deal, you're going to be worried, okay, what's he going to look like physically? And a lot of times this season, he hasn't looked that strong. Tonight was obviously the most active that he looked, because when you're jumping at the rim for blocks the way he was, when he's, got some legs into his three and confidently knocking those things down, it's really good to see both of those guys ground into form. The thing is, we joke about them as like, potential, trade targets or anything like that, but also as players, like they're players, they're good players to have in your program, because they're both huge success stories as compared to sort of like what they were coming in. For Bruce Brown to sort of carve out a career as a 6'4" player who sometimes used to play center, as somebody who can really screen and cut and move the ball and be a positionless player, that's a really valuable thing. And of course, he turned himself into a champion. Now, of course, he got cashed out, and that's why his contract has become this thing, and he's ended up in Toronto, and obviously, like, he's a guy who should be on winning teams, whatever. Like, you can say what you want, but he's a really good success story for his career, and you got to give him that respect. And then Kelly's the exact same way. Now, Kelly obviously was a high pick, and he played really well in Gonzaga. That's a top program. But to see him in the NBA for this long, to see him being the sort of stretch five that the Raptors actively coveted for, because maybe they weren't looking for Kelly to be here forever, and we'll see what happens after the trade deadline. Maybe he's here after, maybe he's not. But the main reason they brought Kelly in addition to the Ochai trade with Utah, sending them back the 29th pick, which became Isaiah Collier, who has a squarer head than me, is that they wanted to see what the Raptors offense will look like with a playmaking five who can stretch the floor. And there's not that many of them. And if you get a chance to sort of acquire not only Ochai, who alone is pretty good value for the 29th pick, but also you're going to get Kelly, who can at least experiment for you. Okay, what would it look like if Scottie Barnes play with a stretching floor, stretching five, who can play make, who can run some pick and rolls for you, who can throw high-low passes for you? What would that look like? What would it look like if Grady Dick had somebody to play like that off of? And honestly, last season, Grady was so lost in the wilderness that it was a real concern. Now, whatever, it was a rookie year. Maybe sometimes you just write off a player's rookie year and you're just like, you know what, you didn't have it this year, but we'll just try again, and maybe we'll make some adaptations. One of Grady's biggest advocates, I thought, in the middle of the season was the fact that they got Kelly in, and just using that sort of playmaking gravity, using the gravity that he has as a three-point shooter, but also mostly as a passer, and sort of his IQ. That really helped Grady get his feet under him. And now Grady can succeed without Kelly, but you could still see how much, that helps his training wheels, and even as an experiment. And again, like long term, we can't look at Kelly long term because he's 34 years old, and obviously most nights he's not this physically active, but he could still do this, and whether he's on a winning team or on a losing team, like there's value in that. And I'm happy to see both of these guys look physically ready. So you can tell obviously by my voice that I'm pretty happy in general. I think that like this was just a really, really good effort by the Raptors to come back here. Again, I think the most important thing for me every single night is, what does Scottie look like? How is he meeting the demands of the game? Is he engaged? And on all fronts tonight, that was A plus for me. That was A plus for me in terms of the shot creation from the areas that he needs to get to, from the playmaking in terms of not just creating advantages, but also solving what the defense is throwing at him. It was very hard for the defense to sort of load in on one thing Scottie wanted to do, because he was also screening for the ball. He was handling the ball. He was in transition. He was in the playing at the short, I guess that post up area where he's able to sort of go for the little turnaround jumpers. He was playmaking. He was in the middle of the zone, unlocking the defense. Hard to lock in on that because he's doing like 6-7 different things. And I thought he did a great job. And most importantly, he had the hardest job defensively, and he took it on. And then, of course, RJ, Grady, this game doesn't get flipped without those guys. The momentum doesn't get built without those guys. But guys did a really good job. And that's why I'm so excited. And, of course, that's why I want to hear what you thought of the game as well. Of course, we are going live. We are going live on both YouTube and on Twitter as well. So you can always follow us at Hello Welcome Pod. We will, almost always be live after games. So we want to hear your thoughts. Leave them in the chat because we're going to bring in producer Alex. We're going to answer your questions. But first, we're going to take the first of 2 breaks here as we hear from one of our sponsors.
Hey, man.
Hey, buddy.
Just recently hit the big 4-0. What about you, bro?
A little more recently 4-0, but we are both in the 40 club.
Let me tell you, man, being an adult really comes with its share of challenges.
Definitely. I think both you and I are homeowners, and I think we're both also dealing with mortgages in life.
Yeah, man. Mortgage rates, choosing the right terms, dealing with paperwork. It can be really overwhelming,
I still don't know how that works.
Well, listen, that's where our friends at Dominion Lending Centers come in, man. They make the whole process simple and stress-free. Whether you're renewing your mortgage, hunting for the best rates, or if you just need advice, they're here to help, bro.
You know what? I am looking for that advice, and I think that's why I'm going to visit www.dominionlending.ca.
Yeah, man. www.dominionlending.ca. Take the guesswork out of your mortgage and step into financial confidence with our friends at Dominion Lending by our side.
All right, I'm going to bring in my my home-owning friend here, Alex Wong, co-host, producer of the #1 basketball podcast in Canada. What's going on, man?
Yo, what's going on, big dog? Chat is asking if your mic is working.
Was it not working?
You were sounding great, but we had a lot of audio files in the chat, certified audio files.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
make sure you check that because they're super excited to hear what you've got to say.
I mean,
While
sounds
you,
all right.
yeah, while you check that, you're fine. While you check that, Pat Delany's getting a lot of love.
Oh no.
There you go.
Was
Now
I
you're
was
back.
I on the other mic?
Your mic was not on. Yeah,
Wait, was I on my laptop mic this whole time?
I think so. Yeah,
Oh,
I couldn't
brother,
hear-
dog, you gotta text me, man.
I did message you in the private chat.
Oh, word?
Yeah, man.
Oh, I was flowing like crazy. Oh, they're saying your levels are way higher.
Oh man, this is what happens when.
Oh man, damn, dog, I was, damn. All right, sorry guys, but
My
you know,
levels
if you listen to the podcast version, it'll be completely fine there.
Yeah, let's get our levels. Let's get our
Okay.
levels proper.
Wow.
Let us know, chat.
Okay. All
Let
right.
us know. We love you.
There we go.
All right.
Okay, it is time now for the Tangerine fan inbox. And I gotta let you know that Tangerine is the official bank of the Toronto Raptors, foundational partner of the WNBA Canada and the NBA Canada. And of course, they're not just fans of basketball, they're fans of basketball. They're fans of fans, have their own nickname for each guy in the starting five. Fans who stand 5 inches from the TV all night, or fans who can recreate every player's layup package while sitting on their couch. If you're hearing this, there's no doubting your commitment. Fans like you are at the heart what makes this game great. So this year, for the Raptors' 30th anniversary, Tangerine is turning the spotlight from the court to the stands and celebrating the way Raptor fans support their team, because this is how we fan. To learn more, visit tangerine.ca/basketball. Okay, Alex Wong, what's going on, man?
Let's go. First question for you.
First one from Arsh. Question: do you see Scottie versus Paolo being one of the best rivalries in the East in the future? You know, it's funny because it's a little unfair. It feels like Paolo already has his running mate, right? He already has Franz Wagner. He already has a really strong defense behind him. It feels like it's not totally fair because the Magic system maybe is a little bit ahead of the Raptors in terms of how strong they play defense. However, I will have to say, on an individual skills basis, definitely scoring-wise, you know, Paolo's got a deeper bag. Paolo's got more range, especially from three. And, you know, those things are pretty important, almost vitally important when it comes to being the number one guy. Scottie got a lot of other things on him, though. Like, defensively, I would say Scottie's a better defender. I think that in terms of playmaking, I would say, you know, Paolo's not bad at playmaking, but I think he's a really good playmaker in the sense that he's such a good scorer that teams sell out to guard him. Scottie does a really good job of just, like, you know, making the right passes even within the flow of the offense. But, you know, just in general, I thought, you know, his playmaking is ahead for me. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think more than anything else, the battle becomes a lot better if the Raptors have a secondary option to emerge behind Scottie. I think RJ, you know, is probably the closest to that. Tonight, obviously, he did a good job leading the team in scoring. And then defensively, the Raptors got to play like this way more often because, like, the Raps play like the Magic tonight. And it was actually really fun to watch. But, yeah, actually, honestly, the Scottie agendas, like, they're fun. And certainly, like, we've indulged in them in the past. But I think at this point, I just really want to focus on, like, what he's doing game to game. And he's shown me a lot. His engagement level is really high. Someone should really write a whole feature about Scottie Barnes and what he's done this season.
Yeah, Toronto Life cover story on Scottie Barnes coming out tomorrow.
Oh,
It's on the web. Check that out. Hope you guys enjoy that.
Who do you think wrote that, man?
I don't know. You'll just have to see.
I guess we'll never know.
When you guys find the typo in the print version, don't hit me up about that.
Fair enough.
I got a story about that.
Yeah.
Anyways, people pretty excited about Ulrich Chomche in garbage time.
Oh, yeah.
Here's one for you.
Okay. This one from Mark. How about Chomche? Need that dude back to talk about the progress he's making from the early season rookie update pod. I think he's talking about Sam Vecini. I'll tell you this much about the original intel on Ulrich. So I think a lot of the original intel with Ulrich came from the pro day that his agency Clutch Sports had put together. Obviously, a lot of agents are going to attend the Clutch Sports pro day. And a lot of media members are going to have sort of information out of a day like that. The whole idea is to sort of create hype and sort of like excitement around a player. He really struggled on that one. So it kind of left a little bit of an impression on a lot of people saying, well, you know what, Ulrich really was like, he's just a little too far from being ready. And I think, quite frankly, there are obviously signs in terms of like he is a little bit raw and things like this. But it's kind of like he was caught on one of his bad days. You can't necessarily judge a player on the worst day that he has. So I wasn't there, so I can't tell you exactly what happened, but I can tell you that I've heard this sort of idea from a couple of different people. What we've seen since, which I think is a way bigger sample size, is what he's played with the 905, because obviously they had the showcase, and then now they're into the regular season. And by the way, the Raptors 905 are actually really good this season. They're back to actually being a winning team, which I know a lot of people don't necessarily care. They're like, whatever, who cares? It's the minors. It does matter. I think it's a great sign of like how healthy the organization is, because the last couple of years, Raps were down bad. The 905 were down even worse. So we've seen Ulrich make actual progress in between when he joined the program, which was in late June, and into Summer League. This is already like half a year in the program. We're kind of treating this year kind of almost like Ulrich is in the first year of college, right? You might look at Ulrich the same way you might look at like a Kaman Malawach in Duke. Now, I think Kaman obviously has a much better upside. He's going to be picked probably top 10 in the upcoming draft here. He's the center for Duke that's shooting 84% from the field this season, which is ridiculous. Kaman and Ulrich are actually roommates in the NBA Academy Africa as well. They're actually friends, which is a small world, seriously. But like, yeah, the way you should look at his 905 season and his first year here is basically they're looking at him like he's in college this season. And what you want to see out of a player, especially when you're tracking them in college, is improvement within the season, or maybe improvement year over year, but especially within the season. And I think what I actually asked Darko about this before the game, just like, what have you seen from Ulrich recently? Like, how do you see his progress and up? Because we haven't asked like Darko about Ulrich in like months, I feel like. And he said, number one, he's really impressed with the work that he's put in on his body. I think the fitness regimen, I think the consistent workouts, even just like being in a pro setting and the nutrition, everything like that. He's put on more weight. He looks stronger. He's obviously very young. He's, I think, the youngest player in the NBA because he was the youngest player in this draft. That alone is certainly going to help him a lot. Defensively, he's really coming around. He's number one in the G League in blocks, if not number one, number two, number three. So that's all really good. Offensively, there's still more things to go here, but I think what you're seeing is like him, for example, throw a couple of like high-low passes out of the post. He's comfortable in that system because that's exactly how the 905 play. So even though he doesn't get the ball much from the 905, like he's kind of like the fourth or fifth option, actually probably fifth option down there as well. But he still does run the same actions that like a Jakob Poeltl would run or like a Kelly Olynyk would run. Maybe not with the same creativity and effectiveness, but he does run the same plays and they're familiar with what he's going to do. Anyway, my point is like, I think this year we're not going to see much of him. And if we do, it probably will be towards the end of the season. But I think I'm pretty encouraged based on sort of like the progress that he's made within 6 months. And again, like a lot of the sort of the idea of sort of him being like super like Bruno level raw does come from the fact that he had a pretty bad pro day and probably one of the most visible pro days out there. Yeah. It happens. But we've seen him actually play what's just way more important, like 20 more game days at the G League level. That's a much more important area to scout.
Yeah, I think I've heard from sources inside and within the organization too.
Oh no,
this man not at the arena, but still getting news via pigeon.
Okay.
I think the organization is really wary of like how Bruno, when they brought Bruno in, he was very hyped up. And I think it built up a lot of expectations. And part of that wasn't the organization's fault. Like, I think it was just part of the fan base too, getting really excited at this like really raw athletic player. So I think there's just a lot of efforts like within the organization to make sure that they're not putting any kind of pressure or any kind of those expectations on him and just like hoping to carve out that space where he can just grow. But clearly he's so talented that like fans are already starting to pick up on it based on his 905 performance, or even just getting glimpses of him even tonight, like how the listener mentioned, like the bounce passes and stuff like that. Like you can see all the skill is there. So
sure,
I think everyone's super excited about it.
And again, like I want to be clear that the upside right now is on the defensive side. On the offensive side, I think it's still a struggle. Like if you watch him in the 905, it's not like he's like dominating down there. Like my thing with the 905 is like Chris Boucher used to average like 25 and 12. Like he played like Giannis down there. So I think there's levels to this. Like even, there's still more progress to be made. But again, like based on what he's done in 6 months in terms of the physicality that he's improved on and also the defense and sort of awareness that he's improved on, that's all really encouraging stuff. And I think maybe, again, like I don't think we should bank on anything that happens this year. But going forward, I'd be really interested to track how he's doing. And again, like if for people who don't know Ulrich Shamshay's story, like this guy was a farmer, man. This is crazy.
He was out here.
He legit listed 7 crops that he was growing back home before he was scouted for basketball around like 13, 14. And he was talking about, he's like, everyone's a farmer for where he's from. He's not even from one of the big cities in Cameroon. He's not from Douala or Yaoundé. He's from like Bafang, which I think is like a small village with like 20,000 people in it. And he was growing like bananas and cocoa beans and potatoes and stuff, and somebody found him, and now he's here. Like it's an insane journey. So
did they do an open gym? Did they do an open gym episode on him like in the summer?
No, they didn't. But I do remember there's an NBA produced documentary
Okay, people should
about the
people should
NBA
look
Academy
that
of
up
Africa. Yeah.
and check it out. Quick swerve. Glenn Sama says
Oh.
tonight was Orlando Magic versus Orlando Robinson, which does lead to a question I have. Is this the first time in franchise history we've had a player with the first name going up against the team?
That's
I
a
don't
great
think we've
question.
had any players named Miami. Let's go through them. Charlotte, Atlanta,
Charlotte is possible, right? Charlotte would actually
Charlotte
be a name.
Day Wilson,
Yeah.
Atlanta, Chicago.
Brooklyn's a pretty popular name.
Okay,
Isn't
Brooklyn? That's
isn't
David Beckham. David Beckham.
David Beckham's kid's named Brooklyn. Yeah.
So we haven't had a Brooklyn.
Dallas is a name.
Yep. Dallas
Yeah.
Green.
Yeah.
Okay, Dallas, San Antonio. We haven't had a San Antonio.
Anybody named Utah out there? Y'all know
Utah,
a Utah.
Watanabe. That's a bit of a stretch. That's a bit of,
that
that's
might
a
be the
bit-
closing we've come to playing against a player.
yeah.
It's the same name as the team.
So we're gonna have
That's
our
fire.
crack. We're gonna have our crack research team try to look it up, and by crack research team we mean the chat. So if the chat
Yeah.
has any suggestions, please let us know.
Shouts to Utah Watanabe, by the way. I did. So I saw somebody ask the question. I'm actually gonna show this. This where was it? Who was the one who commented on my fade? Hold on.
Yeah, you can't put that one up though because there's an inappropriate comment.
Oh, okay.
just say
Somebody was basically asking like, why?
Where did you get your
Where did I get my fade? And this is a great opportunity, to shout out Purnell over at King's Landing,
Right.
which is
Not to be confused with the setting in Game of Thrones. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, honestly,
King's
King's
Landing.
Landing was there first. King's Landing's been around for a while. I mean, it's
Okay.
college in Bathurst.
Yeah.
Got a great cut from P as always, and P was like, "Yo, you're gonna play ball tonight?" Because we were in the same Tuesday night run. Unfortunately, Raptors are playing the Magic. Some things are more important than basketball. And but yeah, after the game, or after the haircut, I was like, okay, I got a little bit of time before the game because I got the cut at 3. I was like, oh man, what was right there? Ramen Ishin, man. I haven't been in Ishin for a minute. So I got an Ishin and I made sure to sit right in front of Utah's jersey. That's the closest I've
What
come.
is this like? You were worshiping the shrine.
That's the closest I've come.
Guys, like, I
to
will
getting-
remember you.
That's the closest I've come to getting ramen with Utah is eating that white sesame shio base
my
in
favorite
front of
thing-
Utah.
My favorite thing about Ramen Ishin is just their efficiency. Like, regardless of if the place is packed or if I'm the
Yeah.
only person in there, when I'm done, they want me out of there. They're like, "Here's your bill. You've
They're like,
taken you've taken your last slurp of your bowl, and we know it because we've calculated and studied you. You're out of here, bro."
They're like, you don't want dessert. You don't want another drink.
No,
man. You
they're
want to
so-
leave.
They're so efficient. It's amazing.
No, I really had a great meal, and I was in and out there in like 30 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
no question.
Chat is saying Antonio Davis as San Antonio Davis. We're not allowed. We're not
No?
allowing that.
Why not?
They're also trying to think if there's anybody named L.A. like I guess LaMarcus Aldridge. But
Yo,
again,
LaMarcus used to give us problems, man.
I think Orlando Robinson made history tonight. Is all I'm saying for the Raptors franchise.
I'm
Like,
happy
Orlando,
for
yeah, Orlando versus Orlando.
O-Dog.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's a
solid.
fake trade, and we'll get to some real trade talk.
Okay, we got RJ Bargnani, which is still a very funny name to me. Who is going to swoop in and give us a second-round pick for the rights to Pat Delany? Yo, chat. Let me ask you guys. Let me ask the number one basketball podcast in Canada right now. Should we still
What
fire
is
Pat
so-
Delany after holding the
No,
Magic to
chat-
13 points?
Chad is loving Pat Delany tonight. In fact, we were brainstorming that there should be a separate Pat Delany chain that they give out to the best coach after every win, and it's
Yo,
to Pat Delany every time they win, because
by
it
the
seems
way,
like his PR is up every time Delany wins. Nobody is saying like who else is there, like Eric Corey, or like no one's saying Jamma, like Jamma points
Yeah.
for Jamma tonight. It's always Pat Delany. Yeah.
listen, we are going to single-handedly rehab Pat Delaney's PR. Okay, we're gonna take it upon ourselves here to do the right thing for Coach Pat, who did coach us to a victory in last year's media game. once again, I have to remind everybody that the buck does not stop on the defensive end with an assistant coach. I promise you.
Mm.
What was interesting today, which I guess has been happening all season, but was only pointed out to my attention by Lee Van Osman while sitting watching the first half with, before I scurried home to do the React pod. But he was like, yo, during the timeout, look at Darko. He's like got like 7 assistant coaches around him. So first the assistant, so they call a timeout, which is like a minute and a half. They call the timeout. Darko first goes onto the middle of the court, and there's like 7 assistant coaches around him. Like it's the Fellowship of the Ring. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be like, I guess Darko's Gandalf. And then there's like Merry, Pippin, Sam, Frodo, like Aragorn's got to be in there, Gimli, Legolas, like, Boromir, RIP, spoiler, but like they got to be in a circle first. They come together and then they go to the other huddle with the players and then they show them the play. It's I don't know. NBA's I guess people have been doing that.
Should we call second row coaches hobbits or what, man?
Ooh,
Or should we just...
Corey, you are Mary. You are Maryadoc.
By the way, PJ Washington. So we're getting submissions on last names now, which is fair. Yeah, PJ Washington works. Caleb Houston is on the Magic.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. We just saw him.
So we have that one as well. Anybody with the last name Memphis? Yeah.
Bleak?
Anybody? No, now we're doing last names. Anybody with the last name? Oh, there are Bostons. Brandon Boston.
Oh,
yeah.
Yo,
Brandon
you
Boston.
a ball knower, man.
Yeah, that's a ball knower. Yeah, someone said Delaney's worm tongue. Chill out.
In Indiana Jones.
Yo, oh my God. All right,
Okay.
Here we go. So real trade talk. Question here is, who are we getting in a 4-way trade with Phoenix, Miami, and Milwaukee? So just to catch everyone up. So tonight the Suns traded their 2031 unprotected first, which is like the only first rounder they had remaining to trade, to the Utah Jazz in exchange. Got 3 slices of pizza back, 3 first round picks, 2025, 2027, 2029. But in each of them, it's the least favorable of like several teams. So what they basically did was they opened up that they now have 3 first rounders to trade, versus just access to the 2031. And
this is when you break $1 into 3 quarters. Is what they've done. Yeah.
So everybody's assuming this is obviously a preemptive move to get moving on this Jimmy Butler trade, which everybody assumes is going to be at least a 4-way deal. So it's been reported by Brett Siegel of Clutch Points that via his sources, a potential 4-way trade would look like this. Phoenix would get Jimmy Butler. Milwaukee gets Bradley Beal, who is reportedly willing to waive his no trade to go to the Bucks, and Kevin Love. I guess Kevin Love got to delete his last 19 IGs about Jimmy Butler.
Okay, all right.
Toronto would get Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton, and some kind of
Connaughton is crazy.
And some kind of...
Why are you calling him Connaughton?
My bad.
Yeah, it's
English
Connaughton,
second
man.
language.
Yeah.
And some kind of draft compensation for taking on those 2 contracts. So Bobby Portis has a player option next season at 13.4.
Okay.
Pat the landlord is at 9.5 million player option for next season.
Yeah, he's probably picking that up, man.
And then Miami would get Bruce Brown.
Oh, okay.
Chris Middleton, who has a $34 million player option. And
he's probably taking that too.
And some sort of draft pick compensation as well. So basically the Raptors would get rid of Bruce Brown's expiring, take on 2 potential contracts with player options for next season, but get some draft picks out of it.
Okay, so
what do the draft picks have to look like for you to like this deal?
I mean, first off, it's difficult because the Raptors don't. It feels to me that the Raptors don't have first dibs in this sort of 4-way scenario. They don't seem to have first dibs on the best picks, right? Like, because if anybody's going to get the best picks, it should be Miami because they shipped out Jimmy Butler and they're getting back Bruce Brown and Chris Middleton, right? So it feels like Miami will probably get the better picks in that scenario. I do think Toronto definitely needs to take picks on because there is no reason to take on, and facilitate and basically make all this possible by making a trade like this. I believe Milwaukee actually has to first dump Connaughton in a separate deal just to be able to create the opportunity to be below the second apron to then
Right.
take on Bradley. I don't know. It's too complicated. But my point is that, like, yeah, if you're going to take on those two contracts, I don't mind Bobby Portis. I think that's fair value for what Bobby is. If he picks up his player option, I think the Raptors could have a chance to flip him next year as well. $13 million expiring for Bobby Portis. I think that's like a pretty easy thing to do. And you can flip that into a different team. But also at the same time, you have to consider that the Raptors definitely don't want to go into the luxury tax next season. And I believe you got to not only account for the salaries coming in, but you have to account for whichever first round pick the Raptors end up getting. The first overall pick, for example, and everyone wants to get the first overall pick, that's $10 million a year. Right, so that's actually already eating into potential salary for next season. Plus, you've already signed RJ, or RJ's already been under contract, but Scottie and IQ, those contracts are in place, the ones that they signed last summer. So there's not that much extra space, but at the same time, like, yeah, I think I would like. I mean, we joked about those Suns picks, but I actually wouldn't mind like one or two of those picks for that. And if you got a first or a maybe even 2 firsts back in a trade like that, I think you've done really well. And of course, you worry about sort of getting under a luxury tax later when you can flip a Kelly Olynyk next year, when you can flip a Bobby Portis next year. So, I mean, to be honest, I didn't run into Bobby or Masai today. I mean, they might be busy, man. But yeah, go to work, guys. That sounds pretty good. But to me, as a Raptor fan, I'm down with that.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of talks about Bruce Brown potentially just being a buyout candidate if he doesn't get traded. So if that's where his value is sitting on the market right now,
Yeah,
and you can get in on this trade, I agree with you. I think Bobby Portis would be a pretty appealing
sure.
trade chip
Yeah.
that you can flip. Who knows what you'll get for that? Probably not that much, but like still.
No, not that much. But again, like that could be like someone's expiring salary the following year. You know what I mean? Like, I know this is like, it feels like a Russian doll situation where you're just like kind of like going smaller with these like expiring contracts or like soon to be expiring contracts. But there's actual value in sort of doing that. And of course, the Raptors as a team that does not ever really play in free agency. Like our biggest free agents are like Hito Turkoglu and Damari Carroll. Like you could literally look up the numbers. We stay above the cap and then we make trades. And so actual contracts with value on them who can obviously play, but also be expiring and be able to slide into other deals. Like that's where we actually get value from. That's why this is actually where a guy like Bobby Webster could really cook in terms of like sliding the contracts around. I know it's like nerdy and stuff, but it's yeah, it's I like this. I would push for 2 firsts. I might settle for 1 first depending on how good that first is.
Yeah, who do you like this deal? Like if you look at the other 3 teams too, because like I don't know what flipping Beal, I don't know what that does for the Bucks. Like they're giving away Middleton as well in this scenario.
Sure.
And then they're taking on Beal. So they're gonna be paying Beal and Dame like $100 million
Jesus.
to be alongside Giannis. They lose some depth in this.
They lose some depth, but have you seen Chris Middleton recently, man? Chris is basically like in that Kelly Olynyk phase. Like
I know, but it's like, do you really want to take on that Bradley Beal contract? There's like 3 years left. Is that the move you want to make? Because now you become the Suns, like you're all in.
But they're all
these
in.
3 guys.
As long as they have Giannis, they're kind of all in, right? So like it is really difficult at this point. They also, you're right, they do become the new Suns, but they still have Giannis in his prime. Like is that at least a better big 3 versus like those 2 guys and Chris Middleton? Like I would say yes. Like it's a lot of money to take on, but it basically they're saying that like Chris is super washed and he's not going to help us this year. And like quite frankly, like Chris Middleton for the last 3 seasons has averaged 15 points, and now 12 points. He averages 12 a game, and he doesn't even play that much. The last 3 seasons, he's played 101 games.
Yeah,
in 3 seasons. That's not strong, right? So at least Bradley is on the court, and he failed in Phoenix, the 3rd option, but it could work for us. I don't know, but I guess I'm just selfishly trying to push this through because I think the Raptors could squeeze some value in this.
Yeah, even for the Suns too. Like, how big do you think the upgrade is to now you get Jimmy, which I think is a clear upgrade over Beal, but do you think that pushes them like suddenly as a contender in the West? I don't know how much that changes.
Bro, but here's the thing, like once you have these star players, like you have to make the most of your time with those guys. So even if they're not like great plus value deals, like you kind of just have to do it. Even if it's marginal.
These are just like fantasy trades, man.
This does feel like a fantasy trade.
And then it doesn't move the needle for anybody. This just helps Jimmy get to the team that he wants to go to.
Yeah, but I mean, again, like this is where the Raptors are just sitting around being like, we are the ones who can sort of play around because we have flexibility, we have expiring
Yeah.
contracts, and if yeah, I mean, it's not a bad situation to be in, I suppose. You know what I mean? Like, I actually kind of don't mind this right now, in the sense of like, if you can grab a couple extra assets, like go ahead and do it. Like the Raptors are plus picks right now, but only marginally because of the Pascal trade. Like, if you get a first round pick for this, even a first and a prospect, like I actually really wouldn't hate it at all. Because again, you're not taking any on long term salary either.
Yeah. All right. Those were all the questions that we had.
Sick.
So
Good time.
let's take this other break, and then we'll come back with more stuff.
We don't have didn't people send in money, man?
Oh shoot! Did I forget those?
Come on, man.
Oh shoot! Okay.
Money, man.
Here,
There we go. This one from Andrew, who sent in $7 Canadian. I appreciate that. Early reaction to Matt Ishbia's 2K GMO trade. Happy New Year's. Clean your house and don't wash your hair. I know you know. Yeah, I know you know too, buddy. Chinese New Year is coming up around the corner. Year of the Snake coming up. Not going to be good fortunes for a monkey man like me. That's Year of the Monkey. Not derogatory, I promise.
Oh my god! Oh, you're Year of the Monkey? I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. Come on, man.
Yeah. We also.
What do you think of the? What do you think? What's the reaction? Do you actually think this will go through? I mean, let's be honest. Like, I'm not trying to like.
Some version,
but
some version of it is gonna go through. Like, I think the fact that the Suns made this trade to get 3 slices of pizza means that they're gonna be using those 3 draft picks, and I think things are moving. And Jimmy's troll move of the night is he apparently wore sneakers tonight that was the color of the Phoenix Suns.
Oh,
like I said, man, I'm tired of this.
Yo, I'm actually tired of this. Jimmy, man, you are full grown. Like, how old is Jimmy? 35? Like,
yeah, if I'm pulling in subordination, I'm not pulling up in the different sneaker colors of my competitor. Like, what does that do?
This is like if you wore a hello, welcome hat towards the end of your Sportsnet
Yeah,
run, man.
no, like what do we? I mean, did I do that? Yeah. So we have another one here.
Oh, from Marcelo. What is R? What's R, man? What currency is that?
Marcelo is from Brazil.
Is this Brazilian money? What is
so.
the Brazilian currency? Man, I'm sorry, I don't even know.
I hope that exchanges to $200 Canadian. Yeah.
Okay. I kind of somehow doubt it. I don't know if our economy is weaker than Brazil's, but anyway, Marcelo says, I thought we only use square shirts at Sao Paulo festivals. Yeah, I did see the chat was killing me for that shirt. What's wrong? What's wrong with my H&M shirt, man?
Chat just always very, very intrigued by your fits because your Willu fits on IG.
That's all you, buddy.
And they were just like, oh, Will's very like dressed up tonight for the occasion.
Oh yeah.
His the squares on his shirt have squares. Yeah. I said that. And then people were just excited. Square shirts and square heads. Yo, leave Will alone, man. God damn it. I gotta bring back my Twilight hoodie to distract people.
No, it's all good, man. You just have half your laptop in the screen for some reason. You're covering up what you're wearing, man.
That's the wave, man. Okay. Yeah. I think that's it, man.
There you go. Okay, we are going to hand out the awards, and we're going to get to a couple more things, actually, but we're going to get to a second break here because we're going to welcome in a brand new sponsor to the Hello and Welcome podcast here. Alex, go ahead. It's the 30th anniversary, and our friends at Axe are joining the celebration with a limited edition collection that's as original as the Toronto Raptors themselves.
The collection includes 3 essentials to keeping you fresh. The body spray features 48-hour high-definition scent, blending sea mist and grapefruit to keep you unstoppable throughout the day. The deodorant stick is perfect for staying confident, with a scent that keeps you smelling irresistible while showing your Raptors pride. And the body wash delivers a luxurious lather that leaves you feeling clean and smelling astonishing after every shower.
For over 40 years, Axe has drawn on body spray research and the expertise of the world's leading perfumers to craft quality fragrances and help people feel confident in their own skin.
Find the Axe Toronto Raptors 30th Anniversary Limited Edition collection at all major retailers, Walmart, Shoppers Drug Mart, and Real Canadian Superstore. But act fast because it's only available for a limited time.
Celebrate the milestone with Axe and the Toronto Raptors. Channel the freshness, energy, and unstoppable spirit of our local champions, because smelling great is always a slam dunk. Yo, smelling great is always a slam dunk. Truer words have never been said, man.
Yeah, for sure. Man. Shouts to Axe. Someone who takes 5 showers a day. Really excited to use
Yo,
these products and feel like a champ.
I thought for sure you'd be the one, using up the body wash, man. But I'll make sure you receive it on our upcoming trip to Atlanta. Anyway, shouts to Axe because we are introducing actually the Axe freshest play of the game. And this is going to be a play that we think was really, really good. And I think for me, the number one sequence from tonight in terms of what was the freshest play was Kelly Olynyk rotating over at the basket, turning back the clock, quite frankly, and jumping back both in time and also at the rim to get the block. Play goes the other way. Raptors missed the initial shot, but the Raptors get the offensive rebound. They swing it over to Grady. Grady with a beautiful little pump fake to freeze his defender, drives baseline, and throws a huge dunk all over Tristan da Silva. And then he lets out this roar as well. I think that's probably the best hammer dunk we've seen from Grady Dick. And I think my initial reaction was just I couldn't believe he got that. I think honestly maybe the more surprising thing might have been Kelly getting up for the block at the rim. But it was just a great play all the way around. So shouts to Axe for joining the Home Welcome podcast. And that's your Axe freshest play of the game. Calling myself Freshest Achua from now on, as long as this partnership is ongoing. And anyway, it is time now to hand out your 3 stars from tonight's performance. Your first star, I'm gonna give it to Scottie. I thought it was a really well-rounded effort, man. 17 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, a block. I'm going to ask you, producer Alex, to let us know if the chain has been handed out, because we do know that the Raptors hand out the chain after every win, and the Raptors now have secured their 11th win of the season. So I want to know who the 11th chain getter was. But Scottie, for me, if I had to hand out the chain, I'd give it to Scott. He did a really good job here tonight. Your second star, I'm going to give that to Kelly Olynyk. 12 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, 4 blocks for Kelly O, man. That was crazy. 4 of 6 from the field, 2 of 2 from 3. Got to the foul line as well. Did a great job. And, the floor stretching element, I think, really, really gave the Magic a lot of problems. The fact that he can play make and be a ball handler, too, is really impressive. He did a great job, and he was a plus 39. I mean, he was awesome. He carried that second unit. And then your third star, I think there's a lot of places to go with this. RJ has a great shout for it. Grady has a great shout for it. But I'm going to give it to Bruce Brown once again. Bruce really got the Raptors ball rolling here. 15 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists off the bench. Took a technical as well to sort of fire up his team. I don't even mind that, man. I like the competitiveness because the Raptors were headed for a blowout when it was 32-11. And Bruce was a huge part of the fact that the Raptors had basically a 40-point turnaround by the point the game was over. So shouts to Bruce Brown. The Gerald Henderson Award winner for who randomly torched the Raps. Honestly, I don't really even have a guy for that. Maybe KCP. KCP's been struggling all season. So tonight, the fact that he had 20 points on 8 of 12 shooting, like, cool. Like, okay. But, I mean, I don't know. It's not one of those 20 that you really felt. You know what I mean? This was kind of like, okay, I was a little surprised that he had 20 at the end of the game. But I'll give it to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope regardless because he's been having a tough season. Your most important guy in a game like this, let's get the most important guy to Pat Delany, man. That defensive effort from the Raptors in that second and third quarters, holding Orlando to 13 in the second and 20 in the third quarter. I think whatever Pat was doing, that got through to the boys. So shouts to Pat. I know he's become under fire on Raptors Twitter, kind of for no reason, but the Raptors actually defensively played really well tonight. So let's give the props to the defensive coordinator because we seem to like to get the blame to the defensive coordinator, which is still one of the funniest stories I have ongoing for the season. Finally, Alex Wong. What else is on your mind, man? What's going on?
Yeah, by the way, we should just give the most important guy to Pat Delany after every win just to juice his stats because I know we are tracking the MIGs for the end of the season. I think it'd be great for Pat to come out with the winner and then maybe we can track him down when you go to the media game and we'll hand him some kind of MIG chain. He'll be like, what is this for? And the chain will be made out of all the comments in the post-game chat.
Oh, man. Come on.
But only positive ones.
Yeah,
only
positive. You know what? He did good tonight, man. He did good tonight.
It'd be amazing if Pat went to the locker room after games to watch this. Anyways, before we wrap up, want to let you know that the Orlando Magic, after losing tonight, you mentioned they're 23-22, been struggling a little bit lately. Paolo Banchero has come back from a 34-game absence. Franz Wagner is nearing a return from his torn oblique. Their over-under wins right now is 46.5. They're a 500 team at the moment. The over on Betway is 1.95. Do you see the Magic getting to 47 wins?
I would have said the Magic would have had no problems getting to 47. The way this season started out, I mean, they were comfortably in that third spot, between third and fourth spot in the Eastern Conference. They slowed down here recently. I think Paolo coming back hasn't necessarily given them the jump that they needed. They've lost 4 straight here, and they're 3-7 in their last 10 games. More than anything else, I do trust the Magic to be able to sort of put something together. Obviously, I think Franz Wagner is not too far off. I'm not totally sure where Jalen Suggs is. But, I mean, at the start of the season, I would definitely say, yes, absolutely, they're going to get there. As of right now, I mean, Detroit's become more competitive. They're actually ahead of the Magic fractionally right now in the standings, both 1 game over. Atlanta is actually 2 games over right now. Indiana has actually put together a nice little stretch here. They're 8-2. They're going to be in Paris, actually, this week to take on Wemby and the Spurs. Milwaukee's ahead of them too. I don't know, they're 8th right now, and depending on what happens with the Heat, I mean, obviously the Jimmy thing is going to be a huge change, but even the Heat are only a half game behind Orlando right now. So for me, I'd probably say no.
Okay.
And that's a little surprising on the season, because Orlando had really a good start, but they've really slowed down here lately, and I don't know. I think I'm just judging based on the fact that the rest of the East, after a slow start this season, has really got back to the level that they should be at.
Yeah, I think games like tonight too really show their deficiencies, especially on offense. They can really go into these droughts. So if you want to take the under for 46.5 wins, it's 1.75. So make sure you hit the QR code below and check out all your basketball betting odds on Betway. All right,
man. Speaking of the Magic, your
What?
boys will be at Magic City when we go to Atlanta.
Oh my God. Yeah, we're heading to Atlanta this week.
Yo, tell me how. Can I ask you a real question? This is because sometimes it's happened less lately, but you still my OG. When I need life
what
advice.
is this question, man?
When I need life advice, I come to you. You know what I mean? Sometimes we go to a ramen spot downtown. I still remember you and I sitting down at homemade ramen in Chinatown.
Oh, I love that spot, man. I go
man,
there all the time still.
Exactly. There you go. We getting that beef,
They
lamien.
always make me wait 30 minutes, but I respect it.
Yeah, they're not no Ishin, but
We're not ready for your order yet. I'm like, okay, it's 3:30. I'm the only person here.
Get to stretching those noodles.
I guess I'll listen to this Bill Simmons pod with Cousin Sal in silence.
This
with
guy
no food.
listening to the Bill Simmons pod at homemade ramen.
Yo, they're almost at
beside
parent.
Kaiway.
They're almost at parent corner, man. Bring me my food.
Yo, that's insane. Yo.
Yeah.
Anyway, so usually turn to you for advice, life advice, because again, you've had more life experience and you're a pretty wise guy and everything like that. What am I supposed to? What does one wear when going to Magic City?
Oh, I think it's pretty chill, man.
Yeah.
You can rock the squares shirt if you want.
I don't think I'll be wearing this
I think it's pretty chill, man.
to the establishment.
I think this is the one outfit that I'm gonna wear in Atlanta, so you can use this as an example. I mean, we're there for I'm there for 3-4 days.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a quick trip, but yeah, we'll be able to chat more about it.
People let me know in the chat actually. What does one wear to the establishment
on the banter pod and people? I know people asked about when's the No Dunks Hello and Welcome collab happening. So we're gonna be doing a bunch of stuff out there with the No Dunks crew. So looking forward to that. So yeah, man. Content out there. See if the Raptors can improve on their 1-20 whatever record on the road.
Yo, they're killing me for the shirt, man.
I mean,
Will trying to impress Cowboy Bruce with that shirt, man.
I mean, it'd be pretty funny. It'd be pretty funny if you started dressing like Bruce Brown. That's a good.
Someone said I should wear the Nick Nurse Coach Polo shirt.
Oh
man.
my God. Yeah, maybe we should become those second row coaches and just all of us with Jerome just wear the exact same thing. that weird like
Yeah.
Bordeaux maroon color that Nick always made them wear, like in the bubble.
Oh yeah, the little salmon with like the
Yeah,
stripes.
the
Yo.
salmon colored suit. Shut up, Pusha T.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh,
Hey, to be fair, everyone had some bad pandemic fits. I don't know if you're because you know what I mean. Like you started like
Oh,
just
man.
losing. You started losing like you lost like a tether of reality.
I
in
mean,
some of those moments, man.
RIP to Yahoo Sports Canada, but
Mm.
the one silver lining, I'm glad those run it back episodes from the pandemic were gone, because I used to revisit those and I'm like, yo, looking crazy. I'm looking like Vegeta trying to go Super Saiyan 3, but not.
Bro, you used to wear not a headband, I guess, but
It's
like you had like
crazy.
you just tied something around your head. And
Yeah.
then you had like the bangs protruding over the top.
No,
like,
it was out of control, man. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
pandemic fits was crazy.
Yeah.
So someone said wear a Grady Dick jersey there.
Yo, someone said I might try to intercept Jason Tatum's pass if I wear this outfit. That's such a deep cut, man.
Yo, that's insane.
Yeah, someone accused Nick Nurse, I think, of like trying to like intercept Tatum's pass
This
in
was
the bubble.
was this in like game 6 or something?
Something
Or
like
was this?
that.
Yeah, I can't.
But you know how Nick is, man. Nick's a sicko. Like he's dying to compete. So like if he actually did,
he's sick right now in Philly, man.
yo, I know he's down horrendous. What's Philly right now?
Sickening
15 and 26.
Sickening right now, man.
Losers of 6 straight.
They're
Yo,
in
by
that.
the way,
They're in that weird spot that I think Toronto was in a couple of years ago of like, should we go for the playoffs or should we tank because we might owe a
right.
pick to OKC? It's tough out there, man.
Yo, did you know they're starting Eric Gordon?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. They've lost a lot of guys, right?
You know how Eric Gordon been in the league forever, man.
Yeah,
Like-
I'm aware of that.
Eric Gordon hooped against MJ's kids, and he's still starting.
What kind of chat is this? All
Bro.
right, that's it. We'll be back in Atlanta doing the post game, all of
Yeah.
that stuff.
We'll have a good time, man. Let us know. Hit us up with your Atlanta recommendations. I saw someone say go to the Outcast mural. I did not know Outcast had a mural, man. That's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
I think it's out in I think it's called 5 Points. That's out there. We'll
Mm.
probably be heading out there because that's where Jerome and I are gonna be doing a little vintage shopping.
Oh yeah,
So
you guys be shopping like that?
vintage scene is I don't think the vintage scene is that crazy in Atlanta. So I mean we'll
Okay.
have a good time there.
All right. Well,
All
yeah,
right.
we will have a great time. Thanks everyone for listening. Once again, you can always follow us live at Hello Welcome Pod on YouTube and now on Twitter as well. Although I gotta say, bad times for Twitter right now. I'm not gonna lie, it's not a great time for
Yeah.
Twitter. But yeah, if you
Well, it's a
still
great
are
time
using
for
the
the world
platform,
in general, man.
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, seriously, actually, it was a nasty one yesterday. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening. If you enjoyed this, hit a like on the stream. Leave your comments in the chat. What are your favorite trade proposals? What's to do in ATL. If you like my shirt, etc., etc. And yeah, we'll be back at you tomorrow with a special guest. Actually, we're really happy to be able to put together an interview that we want to show you tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. But otherwise, we'll be in Atlanta and we'll be bringing you live coverage of Raptors versus the Atlanta Hawks back-to-back in Atlanta on Thursday and on Saturday. And in between, might get some of that lemon pepper, but we'll see what's going on. So for myself, Will, and my co-host Alex Wong, and producer Jerome, who I'm hoping is getting buckets right now against P from King's Landing. How many more plugs can I put out there, man? This has been the Hello Welcome Podcast presented by Betway. We out.